Hey, so the 2022 Oscars happens tonight, and me and my friends are arguing about what's going to win. The field for Best Picture this year is actually extremely large, which is really weird. So I'm going to rush this video out because it's only going to be relevant today, and less so as time goes on, so sorry if this is a little bit rough around the edges. The Oscars are a weird show. I love the basic idea that all the movies you saw in a year get together and fight it out for one last huzzah, because what's better than a crossover fight? But the show is a little bit cursed. Like, there's this reoccurring shittiness that when the Oscars happens from year to year, I used to think the show was really entertaining when I was a kid. But recently, especially in recent years, like, they just have not given a damn about the show. There have been times where they've handed the show to like one of the 8 major late night TV show hosts and they would just do the show in the style of their show. When this happens, it's okay, but it's creatively bankrupt. I want to say the last good Oscars show was when Seth MacFarlane hosted because he filled the show with a variety of brand new, interesting, original music numbers, pranks, and the bare minimum requirements of quality and original content to make the show worth watching at all. Now, since then, there's been a more recent trend to just do these shows as inexpensively as possible, and that has killed the show. Some years they don't even have a host. Like, all these shows with no host and like a cheap budget have been outright disasters. Last year it was in the fucking train station. There were fucking commuters buying Dunkin' Donuts in the background. Like, you need to put someone used to running a show, or at least someone who's just creatively enough to want to be entertained. Otherwise, the show at its worst has its tendency to just turn into a by-the-books award ceremony. And that's fucking boring and pathetic for what should be the best award show of the year. The last big problem with the modern Oscars is the show has become very hard to watch because I actually want to watch it and I have a problem watching it every year in recent years. Because despite the fact I want to see it, right now it's locked onto cable TV, which is ridiculous because back in the day, anyone with an antenna could just stick their antenna out the window and see it. The show needs to get with the times and make itself available for free streaming either online or at least some kind of simulcast. You know, they could put the show on Netflix or Disney Plus. God knows those channels are really trying their hardest to win something. The show has no right to complain that views are down lately when they've been half-assing the very broadcast of the competition itself so much. And on top of that, making the show impossible to watch without paying someone somewhere a service fee, which is ridiculous because, again, they've been half-assing the show so much. So the fact they've been half-assing it and the fact they have the gall to charge extra for it is just way too much for most people. Now, there's also an additional controversy just this year that they're skipping over a bunch of lesser categories to give the bigger categories more time and to give the big movie stars more screen time. Complete dick move, everyone hates that, especially when it seems like they nominated too many movies this year, therefore causing the problem in the first place. So no wonder everyone's exasperated. I don't know who's hosting this year. I've heard nothing of the host. I've heard nothing of the show. I just know it's happening tonight. And based on the very small buzz around it, I'm guessing they're half-assing it again too. Every year the show doesn't have a host. There's just like a right from the start drop of 30% of the quality of the production. Alright, so that's my rant about the show itself. Here's my quick predictions for all the best movies. And this is just going to cover the nominations for Best Picture, but I'll also real quick touch on Best Animated Picture because I love animated movies and I don't really care about any of the other categories. If a movie I like wins in the other categories, I'm going to clap. Otherwise, I'll be like, damn it, they picked the wrong movie. Alright, so Best Animated Picture, that's a disaster too because the Oscars are chosen by a bunch of out-of-touch old white people living in California mansions with like no like purvey of what's going on. I'm pissed that this year no anime movies got nominated. Hathaway's Flash and Belle were robbed, and as a result, half the nominations are just Disney Plus's 2021 lineup. The sole exceptions here are Flea, which I didn't see, and Mitchells vs. the Machines, which was a Netflix Sony movie, and it's pretty much Spider-Verse without the Spider-Man. I'm gonna hastily throw in my vote for the Mitchells to win because fuck Disney, I want Disney to lose, I want them to try harder, and I want them to be humiliated. I don't think any of the films that were actually nominated are actually good, so that's what I have to say about that. Alright, so that brings me to my ranking for Best Picture. Now, I'm gonna start throwing down this gauntlet by saying I think Coda is going to win. I have not seen Coda, I literally know nothing about it. Is the title even Coda? I keep seeing it spelled in all caps. That makes me wonder if the title is actually CODA or some kind of acronym. I honestly heard nothing about this movie at all until Friday, but everyone I know thinks it's going to win, so guess they're right. Based on the poster, I can tell it's an Apple Plus movie. It's probably super family friendly because it's on Apple Plus, and it seems to be about some upstanding white family with a truck. If I had literally anything at all to say about this movie, if I had heard literally anything at all about this movie before Friday, I probably would have watched it. Now I just don't have time. I'll probably check it out next week, especially if it wins. Next up with the movies I didn't watch is Belfast. Belfast is supposed to be hella good, but I haven't seen that either. It's apparently about a kid growing up in the 1990s Irish race wars that made Ireland in the 1990s a hellscape so bad it had to be shouted out and put down in an episode of Captain Planet. I've heard very good buzz on this movie. I want to see it. My friends want to see it. But it's been surprisingly hard to get access to it in the US because it's a European movie. Third and finally with the movies I didn't see is Licorice Pizza, a new PTA Anderson movie. I heard this movie is hot and filled with 1970s swagger. Maybe it's sexy. It looks like the girl in the box isn't wearing a bra. Maybe it's just a love story, but I've heard lobbles between being amazing between a kid's movie or being another movie where PTA is kind of losing its edge in terms of quality and details. All the same, I want to see this one. I think it's probably going to be good, but I don't know because I haven't seen it. It's been very hard to get to see it because it's only been in theaters, and most of the times it was screening was like during like the thralls of COVID. So that brings me to the ranking of the 7 movies I did see. I will rank these movies in terms of worst to best. Coming in at the complete bottom of the dumpster is number 7, Power of the Dog, an irrelevant and disjointed gay western about nothing. Now, I love gay people are great, but I watched this movie and I hated this movie. If you want to watch a gay western, Brokeback Mountain did the gay western way better. This movie is just an unabatedly horny movie about a gay version of Benedict Cumberbatch who keeps touching his dick. He keeps coming in contact with gay, naked muscle men, and he's like wondering if she should fuck them or not. There's also this wussy little sick kid. And long story short, he's a repressed homosexual, and there was like this minor like tension. Is he gonna rape this kid? Or is he gonna rape all these numerous muscle men who are like naked and flexing and dancing their ass in front of him? And thankfully he magically drops dead from mysterious cowboy death before he gets the chance to rape anyone. This movie paints a really ugly and super horny picture of homosexuality, and the movie is just super uncomfortable and goes nowhere. 0 out of 10. Above that at number 6 is Spielberg's soulless remake of West Side Story. He completely reshot the classic movie with more race-accurate actors and much better cameras. He threw in a noticeably awkward token lesbian character just to fill some time, and that's noticeable because she doesn't fit into the story at all. She disrupts the narrative, and when she disappears for the rest of the movie. 1 out of 10, it looks better than the original movie, but that's it. It's still the same fundamental, sad and goofy original movie where people snap their fingers suggestively at each other and do dance fights. And by changing almost nothing about the movie, it becomes an irrelevant film that bombed at the box office. I guess it only even got up here because Steven Spielberg cheated and stuck his foot in the door. 1 out of 10. Number 5 after that is King Richard. I watched it. Will Smith, as usual, acted his ass off, and it's an okay story, but I just couldn't vibe with it. It's the story of Venus and Serena Williams, but it's told from the perspective of their insane and maybe brilliant father. But because the father is the actual focus of the movie, Venus and Serena Williams have no dialogue at all. And so that just left me the whole movie like full of questions about how did they feel about any of the shit he was doing. Because he did some pretty weird, crazy shit. And the movie treats them like they're fucking Pokemon. So good job, Will Smith. Your Pokemon daughters won you a trophy. You're the Pokemon master now. You got your own movie. 3 out of 10. It was weird. Coming in at number 4, almost number 3 is Dune. Honestly, I got really hyped up for Dune. I was really looking forward to Dune, and Dune disappointed me. I realized that the fact this movie even got made is a miracle, let alone the fact that it will probably get its necessary 2 sequels. But just on its own, it's a very boring version of Dune. Everyone's in the desert, everyone's being emo, everyone's wearing scuba gear. Sure, they have some dragonfly helicopters, but that was the bare minimum of what they had, and it just wasn't cool enough. Dune bored me. There was nothing unique about it. There was nothing cool about it. I mean, we have Star Wars. It's got to compete with Star Wars. So I really felt like I got nothing out of Dune. I'm holding out hope that it retroactively becomes a better movie when its sequels are out and it does kind of a Lord of the Rings thing where it stands better as a trilogy than its own. But even right now, it's not even the best version of Dune. Like, come on. David Lynch out-Duned this movie in the 80s. 4 out of 10. Coming at number 3 is Nightmare Alley. This was almost number 4 because this movie, I just didn't like it. Guillermo del Toro is a genius, and he usually tells some pretty interesting monster movies. So this one is a disturbing 1930s carnival freak show story. Honestly, I was let down by this movie. I was expecting more from it. It does have a perfect ending. The ending is sad, disturbing, super freaky. So at the very least, he nailed a good ending, which makes the movie like rise up just by landing itself. But I don't know. I guess it's just like a movie. Like, it wasn't a good movie. It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't a fun movie. I didn't enjoy this movie. It was just a movie, and it was a little bit disturbing, especially with its twist ending. 5 out of 10. I've seen better. Coming in at number 2 is Drive My Car. Drive My Car is actually the only one of these movies I fully reviewed on the channel this year. Drive My Car was the most enjoyable of any of these movies, especially the intro of this movie. The intro, the first chapter, is literally amazing. It presents this woman, Odo Kafka, who's like the ultimate sex bomb of a middle-aged woman, just fully in tune with her own sex at a super high functioning level of being really good at sex. But then after that, for the next 2 hours, it dive bombs into a slow, boring dress rehearsal for the Russian stage play Uncle Vanya, and I'm like, movie, are you trying to make me fall asleep? The ending is okay, the ending redeems the movie, but fuck, that second act was so slow and so boring, so Drive My Car gets a 6 out of 10. Which brings me to my final absolute call for Best Picture, which is Don't Look Up. A satirical and grim look at modern society and the fact that America is so divided right now and so baby-proof that at this point we won't be able to save ourselves from an apocalyptic disaster because it would be simply too expensive and too hard. I don't think this movie is going to actually win Best Picture, but it's my favorite out of the group because this movie actually affected me the most by enraging me and slightly breaking me internally. This movie is about a vague Donald Trump stand-in character played by Glenn Close who revolves everything she does around sex scandals. DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence play these sad, weak scientists who get literally memed to death by the fucking internet and die tragic deaths. Ariana Grande, my ex-girlfriend, is there just being completely aloof and sad about the whole thing. Jesus fuck, this movie just killed my soul inside. There was a point in this film that super resonated with me because it happened to me. When I lived in Japan in 2011, I lived through the 3/11 Dai Tohoku tsunami and the subsequent Fukushima nuclear disaster, barely escaping my life. And so I was rewarded with a one-time interview with a local Fox News affiliate after the fact. They interviewed me and I had to talk to these two fucking talking heads. These interviewers were so callous, so disconnected to reality. They pissed me off so much because they were more distracted with how they could spin what I was saying into some kind of attempt to fuck over Hillary Clinton than any of my actual experiences, any of the actual shit I had to deal with, any of the shit I was saying. I had seen fucking kids dying of cancer. I had eaten radioactive food. I'd spent months bathing in radioactive water, trudging through the empty homes of dead people, and I just straight up lost my shit on them and told them to fuck off. If problems weren't fixed, they were going to die. And needless to say, they never aired that damn interview, and that's why I never appeared on Fox News. But yeah, this movie gave me some serious PTSD back to that moment. And long story short, fuck Fox News. They are literally as bad as they look. Anyway, so that's my 2022 Oscar rundown. If CODA wins, I guess I'll be asking, what the fuck is CODA? As me and Buster Green, and I watch a lot of movies. Thank you, good night.